Nitai Paramahamsa Paravajakacharya Asotara His Lion Divine, Loving Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anandakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Om Chaiva Narottamam.
Ram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Nasta Prayeshva Bhadreshu.
Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttamashloke.
Bhagavati Uttamashloke.
Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki.
Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki.
So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 30, Text 37. Tesham
Tesham
Vicharatam
Vicharatam
Padbhyam
Padbhyam.
Tesham Vicharatam Padbhyam
Tesham Vicharatam Padbhyam.
Tirthanam
Kirtanam
Pavanechaya
Pavanechaya.
Tirthanam Pavanechaya
Kirtanam Pavanechaya.
Vitasya
Vitasya
Kim
Kim
Na
Na
Rocheta
Rocheta.
Vitasya Kim Na Rocheta
Vitasya Kim Na Rocheta.
Tavakanam
Bhavakanam
Samagama
Samagama.
Tesham Vicharatam Padbhyam
Tesham Vicharatam Padbhyam.
Tirthanam Pavanechaya
Kirtanam Pavanechaya.
Vitasya Kim Na Rocheta
Vitasya Kim Na Rocheta.
Tavakanam Samagama
Bhavakanam Samagama.
Tesham Vicharatam Padbhyam
Tesham Vicharatam Padbhyam.
Tirthanam Pavanechaya
Kirtanam Pavanechaya.
Vitasya Kim Na Rocheta
Vitasya Kim Na Rocheta.
Tavakanam Samagama.
Bhavakanam Samagama.
Tesham Vicharatam Bhavyam.
Tesham Vicharatam Padbhyam.
Kirtanam Pavanechaya.
Kirtanam Pavanechaya.
Vitasya Kim Na Rocheta.
Vitasya Kim Na Rocheta.
Tavakanam Samagama.
Bhavakanam Samagama.
Tesham Vicharatam Padbhyam.
Tesham Vicharatam Padbhyam
Kirtanam Pavanechaya.
Kirtanam Pavanechaya.
Vitasya Kim Na Rocheta.
Vitasya Kim Na Rocheta.
Tavakanam Samagama.
Tavakanam Samagama. Ladies,
Tesham Vicharatam Padbhyam.
Tesham Vicharatam Padbhyam.
Tirthanam Pavanechaya.
Kirtanam Pavanechaya.
Vitasya Kim Na Rocheta.
Vitasya Kim Na Rocheta
Tavakanam Samagama.
Tavakanam Samagama.
Tesham Vicharatam Padbhyam.
Tesham Vicharatam Padbhyam
Tirthanam Pavanechaya.
Tirthanam
Narocheta
Vitasya Kim Narocheta
Tavakanam Samagama
Tavakanam
Samagama Tesham of them Vicharatam who travel Padbyam by their feet Tirthanam the holy places Pavanayachaya with a desire to purify Vitasya to the materialistic person who is always fearful Kim why Na not Rocheta becomes pleasing Tavakanam of your devotees Samagamaha Translation Dear Lord, your personal associates, devotees, wander all over the world to purify even the holy places of pilgrimage. Is not such activity pleasing to those who are actually afraid of material existence? Please repeat. Dear Lord, your personal associates, devotees, wander all over the world to purify even the holy places of pilgrimage. Is not such activity pleasing to those who are actually afraid of material existence? Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. There are two kinds of devotees. One is called Ghostanandi and the other Bhajananandi. The word Bhajananandi refers to the devotee who does not move, but remains in one place. Such a devotee is always engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. He chants the Mahamantra as taught by many acharyas, and sometimes goes out for preaching work. The Ghostanandi is one who desires to increase the number of devotees all over the world. He travels all over the world just to purify the world and the people residing in it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised, Pritiviti Achayata Nagaradi Gram Sarvatra Prachara Hoive Moranam. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted his followers to move all over the world to preach in every town and village. In the Chaitanya Sampradaya, those who strictly follow the principles of Lord Chaitanya must travel all over the world to preach the message of Lord Chaitanya, which is the same as preaching the words of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam. The more the devotees preach the principles of Krishna Katha, the more the people throughout the world will benefit. Devotees like the great sage Narada, who travel all over the world to preach, are called Ghostanandi. Narada Muni is always wandering throughout the universe just to create different types of devotees. Narada even made a hunter a devotee. He also made Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad devotees. Actually, all devotees are indebted to the great sage Narada, for he has wandered both in heaven and in hell. A devotee of the Lord is not even afraid of hell. He goes to preach the glories of the Lord everywhere, even in hell, because there is no distinction between heaven and hell for a devotee. Narayana parasarve na kutaschana bibyate sarva pavarganar rakshikesh apitulyarta darshina. A pure devotee of Narayan is never afraid of going anywhere and everywhere. For him, heaven and hell are one and the same. Bhagavatam 6:17-28. Such devotees wandering all over the world deliver those who are actually afraid of this material existence. Some people are already disgusted with material existence, being confused and frustrated by material enjoyment, and some people who are intelligent are interested in understanding the Supreme Lord. Both may take advantage of the pure devotees who walk throughout the world. When a pure devotee goes to a place of pilgrimage, he desires to purify the holy places of pilgrimage. Many sinful men bathe in the holy waters of the places of pilgrimage. They take their baths They take their baths in the waters of the Ganges and Yamuna at places such as Prayag, Vrindavan, and Mathura. In this way, the sinful men are purified, but their sinful actions and reactions remain at the holy places of pilgrimage. When a devotee comes to take his bath at those places of pilgrimage, the sinful reactions left by the sinful men are neutralized by the devotee. Tirthi kurvanti tirtani swantastena gadavrita, Bhagavatam 1:13-10. Because a devotee always carries the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, wherever he goes becomes a place of pilgrimage, a holy place for understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is therefore the duty of everyone to associate with the pure devotee and thus attain freedom from material contamination. Everyone should take advantage of the wandering devotees whose only business is to deliver conditioned souls from the clutches of Maya. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamam Vande Shri Gurundina Tarinam. Hare Krishna. So first of all, just wanted to say thank you to all the devotees here at ISKCON Zurich for your wonderful hospitality. It's been like the old days, staying in the temple, going to Mangalarti, like a spiritual holiday. So really grateful and appreciative of this opportunity. Thank you very much. So, yeah, it's a wonderful verse and purport by Srila Prabhupada. So in this verse, Srila Prabhupada is talking about or comparing the Bhajananandi and the Gostinandi. So the word bhajan means to worship, and bhaj also means to share and to give. So this root word is also in our word bhakti, which is an active word. So it's not just to worship, to share, to give, but it's also devotional service. So Srila Prabhupada, when he talked about bhakti, he didn't just say love or devotion, but he said devotional service. And the Gostinandi is, the root of Gosti is assembly. So the Gostinandi has the mood of devotion, the devotional mood, but he also wants to attract more and more people to create a fellowship, an assembly of devotees. So he not only desires to do that, but it gives pleasure to, and the Gostinandi travels around and purifies places and people. So it's not that one is better than the other. However, in our movement, and as we are followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and of course, and servants of Srila Prabhupada, certainly the mood in our ISKCON movement, which means to move, is that we will travel and preach fearlessly all over the world. So not so easy. Yesterday, Srila Prabhupada, we read that he was saying it takes 3 tons of blood to make a devotee. We were reading that yesterday. So it's not such an easy thing. But you know, every morning we come before the deities and we take this shatari, the helmet on our head, and that represents the mercy of the feet of the Lord. So we're getting the mercy of the feet so we can travel. And that word shatara actually means the wind by which you come out the womb, a baby comes out the womb. So by getting that shatari on your head, that means that you will not take birth again in this material world. So we get the blessings of the Lord that we can be free of this material world and we can travel and preach and share Krishna with others. There is a story of one devotee, and his name was, it was in the Sri Sampradaya, his name is Adivan Shatakopan. He had a dream of Lord Nrsingadev. In his dream, Lord Nrsingadev appeared and said that he would come to him. And when he awoke, Lord Nishingadev was on his chest, and Lord Nishingadev had shoes on. That deity is still present, and the deity said that it is Kali Yuga, so you must take me traveling and preaching. So that was a beautiful story. So traveling and preaching is not easy, and it's not for everybody, but Srila Prabhupada so perfectly exemplified or modeled for us how wonderful it is. We only have to look to his example, miraculous example of coming to the West. And yeah, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here today. So, it's so in our line, starting from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there were the Prabhutrayi, the three devotees, which were Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda Pandit, and Srinivasacharya. And they were the first to preach the holy message all over. They actually left from Vrindavan, and they, of course, in those days there were no cars, so they were either walking or with bullock cart. It was said that they appeared on this earth to actually spread the holy message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they traveled from Vrindavan to Mayapur, Navadvip, like Bengal area, carrying holy scriptures with them. And Narottam and Shyamananda, I believe, they would preach through kirtan. But Srinivasacharya, he would preach, speak some beautiful words. So, although it's not easy to travel or to preach, to distribute books, we do it. Why do we do it? Because it's the order of our spiritual master. And if we can please our spiritual master, we're going to get not only the greatest blessings, but it's going to be our success in life. We also do it because it's a win-win situation. We get the mercy, but we also help souls to reunite with Krishna. And we also do it because it's a yajna of the age, the Sankirtan yajna. It's a prime benediction for humanity at large. So that's why we do it. But it does take three things. Well, it takes more than three things, but three things that I kind of experienced in my life as required. Not that I have them, but Srila Prabhupada exemplified those three things in full. And those three things are courage, conviction, and compassion. So, as I mentioned, Srila Prabhupada, when he made that not short of miraculous journey from India to the West, he exemplified all those three things in full. And he had such a beautiful mood when he landed on Boston Harbor. He had written this beautiful prayer and poem, Markine Bhagavat Dharma. I'm just going to read a couple of the verses because these are the mood that we should have when we are trying to share Krishna with others, especially when we are traveling or far from home. Boro Krupa Kaile Krishna Adame Prati Kila Gyanileta Koro Ebekati. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. How will I make them understand the message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire, their deliverance then only will be able to understand your message. Somehow or other, my Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure. So it's just such so beautiful, heartfelt prayer. Just praying to be an instrument in the Lord's service, and such humility, and just amazing what Srila Prabhupada achieved. So I just wanted to talk about those three tools, I guess, that we need to cultivate. Courage. Courage is about stepping outside of your comfort zone and stepping off the path so that you can bring others onto the path. So we read in the purport about Narada Muni that he preached to Mrigari the hunter. So Mrigari was, half killing animals just for fun. But it was in a dangerous jungle or forest, and Narada Muni stepped off the path so that he could witness and then preach to Mrigari and ultimately show him what his future would be. And of course, Murari ultimately surrendered and became a wonderful devotee. So, stepping out of our comfort zone, it's it's not always easy. I know every day that I used to go on Sankirtan daily, I'm a shy person by nature, but I just prayed intensely, please, Lord, make me an instrument in your service. And when we do that, amazing things come about. I always am encouraged by the example of many of my god brothers and god sisters who before me and all of us have gone fearlessly preaching all over the world. Actually, today I was speaking to, don't know if I get her name right, Suvarna, what's her name? Susevi Madhavi, and she was telling me that today is the birthday of her Guru Maharaj, Jayapataka Maharaj Ki Jai, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, 75 years old, but fearlessly now preaching all over the world. But Srila Prabhupada would send devotees all over the world when they were young. Jayapataka Maharaj went to Mayapur. There were dacoits and snakes and all kinds of dangerous things. He didn't know the language, but he fearlessly went, and through his sincerity and devotion to Srila Prabhupada, he purified that place and attracted and initiated so many disciples and learned Bengali. So I just wanted to give a mention of him because he's such a magnanimous devotee, and today is his Vyasa Puja. But I call these, Jayapataka Maharaj is always glorified, but many of my god brothers and god sisters I call unsung heroes because, they don't always get mentions, but that's why I want to sing their glories. My god sister Mandakini, who's from France, but she joined in the UK, she was serving Srila Prabhupada every day in London, cooking for him. And she was always praying, Srila Prabhupada, please ask me to do something so I could say yes. And so one day when she was serving Srila Prabhupada kachoris, Srila Prabhupada said, Mandakini? She said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. She said, will you go to Russia? And without hesitating, she just said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. And of course, the implications of that kind of hit her because, of course, in those days, it was very dangerous to preach in Russia. And she told me that once she was on a train and she was carrying books with her going into Russia, and it was very, very, very dangerous. And then the guard came, and he was coming to inspect people's passports and their luggage, and she was a little nervous because she had these books with her, but somehow she had started talking to somebody from the British, or I think it was the British or the Indian consulate, and they have like an attaché, and the authorities are not allowed to look in it. So somehow or other, by Krishna's mercy, she put those books in his attaché case, And so she was able to enter Russia with those books. And even today, Montekini Devi Dasi still is traveling and preaching in Russia and serving and giving shelter, purifying the continent of Russia and purifying the devotees there by her association. We had a wonderful, just loved and respected devotee in England who actually made my husband a devotee. His name was Tribhuvanath Prabhu. And Tribhuvanath as well, he was fearlessly preaching. He went to the Middle East and at one point did get arrested and was, in a cell. I think he couldn't even stand up in the cell, he had to lay down. But he distributed books all over the Middle East, and with Bhakti Tirtha Swami, I think, was it Bhakti Tirtha Swami? And later on, he did the festival programs, and he traveled all over the UK. Actually went to Africa as well with the festival program, so he traveled all over the world. Distributing Krishna Bhakti. So it was wonderful. So we need to have courage. It's not easy to be fearless, but amazing things happen actually when you actually step out of your comfort zone and endeavor to share Krishna with others. You don't have to go into the most dangerous situations. You can just step out onto the street in Zurich. It's just about, stepping out and having courage. When we hear these stories, it gives us courage as well, because we think, well, let me try as well. And conviction. So Srila Prabhupada said you have to have the conviction of a person perfectly convinced in the mystical nature of the process of bhakti. Now, we all love to hear stories of how someone came to Krishna. Yesterday I was asking your temple president, Damodar Prasad Prabhu, how he came in touch with the devotees, and he was telling me that because he was raised on a farm, and he was telling me a story of how a devotee worked on the adjoining farm, and he preached to him. So it's a very mystical thing, isn't it, when you ask devotees how they came to Krishna. So when you've experienced the transformation, both in yourself and you've seen it in others, you've seen how they've come to Krishna, you become convinced that Krishna consciousness is definitely mystical. I know in the beginning when I got attracted to Krishna, all these things kind of came into place, and you thought, gosh, somebody up there is like is ordering all these things to happen. Everywhere I went, the devotees were, and it was just like not by chance, absolutely. So there's a beautiful story about being convinced and not judging, like it says in the purport. Devotees preach to all types of people, even those who are maybe envious or inimical. It may seeming to be inimical. I wanted to tell a little story. This happened in England, that the devotees were doing Harinam every day in this particular spot, and they were chanting and distributing prasadam and books. And there was a woman that worked in an office upstairs, and she was so challenged by this, like she was really bothered about it. And she'd come into work, and she'd like those, I don't know, Hare Krishnas, and making all that ruckus and noise, and she'd go on about it, and she'd sing Hare Krishna, anybody that, you have to be convinced, even if somebody says Hare Krishna in an angry way, they're actually making spiritual advancement, So she would go on like this, and this happened, day after day. And then when it was Christmas time, her colleagues, as a joke, gave her a present, and it was a bundle of Krishna books. Just as a joke, they gave it to her. She was like, oh, I got a present, and she opened it up, and she got these books. And she couldn't believe it, she's like, oh, right. But anyway, she took the books home, and she put them in her bathroom, and she would read them when she was doing her business, She picked it up and she started to read them, and she started to become like a little attracted. So by the incredible power of bhakti to transform someone's heart, she became an initiated devotee in time. So, it just shows you that. But you have to be convinced when you are going to travel or preach or go to a program or go on the street, you need to have the courage to do it, and then you need to be convinced that this is not an ordinary activity that you're doing, whether it's preaching or distributing books or Harinam. I love going on Harinam because I know you go on Harinam regularly here, but when you go on Harinam, you can immediately see as you pass people, they either smile or they look, but you can immediately get a feeling, of how the holy name. Actually, my own experiences, because I heard the Harinam when I was maybe 12 years old, and I was kind of thought, oh, these people are a bit strange. But I really am convinced that Maha Mantra went into my heart, and that was the beginning of my bhakti lata, my devotional creeper. I'm convinced of that. So, we need to have that conviction. And then, compassion. I don't know if you call them, what you call them here, but there are people in England that we call Bible bashers, people that just try to ram God down your throat. And nobody likes that, with whatever faith they are. Nobody likes to be preached to or, something just shoved on them. So, preaching is like we were hearing about Narada Muni. Narada Muni, he was a transcendental spaceman, isn't it? He traveled all over, and he would stop in places where the Lord called him, and he would preach, but he would never just preach. He would ask, how are you doing? Like, he would ask the kings, how are things going? Or he would ask the Brahmins, how was your service? Or so, when we preach, we need to take time with people and ask them how they're doing. I know all know this because you see some preachers, but I'm just repeating it for my own benefit. But we need to really try to understand. People are, it says on the purport, people are scared, especially at this time in Kali Yuga. There are so many things happening, both in the environmentally, with climate. Like the other day I heard there was like heavy, severe floods in the desert, like Dubai and Oman. They never have flooding there. So things are changing so rapidly. In England we have lots of, flooding, and in other places they have severe heat. And then politically things are very unstable. And even though we live here in the West and we feel that we should be safe, Srila Prabhupada says even for devotees, we should never be complacent. We should always feel scared, and scared of material nature, and we should always, pray for the mercy of the Lord, because whenever we feel complacent, that's when we will fall down from spiritual life. The material world is a scary place. So people are scared, and they're struggling. Everyone is struggling to some extent, from the, people who are, maybe poor, and to those people who are, wealthy or politicians. Everyone has some kind of struggle. So out of compassion, we need to pray that we can be instruments to help people on all levels. We can preach to people on all levels. We shouldn't be afraid to preach to people, intellectuals or academics, even if we don't feel that we're worthy or intelligent. But devotees have a special devotees are very special. They have an aura about them, and they have a particular. I know that I taught for many years the children in our Gurukul, and when they went on to mainstream school, the teachers used to say, "These children are very special. They're so polite and respect." I mean, respect is not something that you see a lot in society. Respect, people that children, especially like teenagers, are respectful to their elders. But because these children have been raised with those values and principles, and the teachers were kind of like taken aback, like these children are really special, like they're so well behaved and so respectful to the teachers. So, when we meet people, they feel, the love that we have, or the care and compassion we have for them. They feel our connection with Krishna. It comes through, from our heart to them. And even if we feel that we're not on the most intelligent platform, to speak to, they're just going to be touched by whatever, just even by your friendliness or your kindness, because, as I say, everyone is struggling and they may not know that they're scared, but they are. Many people are scared. Many people are afraid to even admit that they're scared. And some people, like I was talking to someone, and they see the suffering in the world, whether it's happening in the Middle East or Ukraine or wherever it is, but they're troubled by it because they don't even know how to process it or to understand it. So we are there to help them to make sense of things and to have a vision, and see how, just by taking up a spiritual practice individually, then collectively we can actually, hopefully, make a change in the world. So these three things, courage, conviction, and compassion, are things that Gostinandis, Bhaktas, all of us need to cultivate to be effective preachers. And, when it talks about devotees, Gostinandis, moving around and purifying places of pilgrimage, wherever a devotee goes, Srila Prabhupada used to send young devotees, like he sent the 6 Grihastas to England, and they would, just by their presence, and their activities, but even just by their presence, doing their practice and their Harinam and book distribution, and they would go every day actually on the streets, doing Harinam. But, it reverberates out. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai, Shishi Gaura Nitai Ki Jai. Yeah. So what I did, last week we were in a little village in the west of England, and one devotee lives there, and she has an Airbnb, so we went to have a little retreat there. And she, she has second initiated devotee and chants and all that, but she has no association in the village, and she was so excited to tell me that these family had moved in, and they were, had visited the manor, and they were devotees, and she was so excited, and she was taking them books and all that. So just by a devotee's presence somewhere, it sends out kind of waves of transcendence, I guess you could say, and attracts others. Many devotees pioneered and went to different countries just with nothing other than the holy name and the wonderful teachings of Srila Prabhupada, and sometimes books, but not always. And they would, of course, there are centers all over, of course, where Srila Prabhupada went, where his feet touched the ground. So much happened, and that's how we have, I don't know how many temples now it was. We used to say 108 centers all over the world, but I think it's much more than that now, isn't it? So wherever a devotee goes, actually it says that there's a verse in the Bhagavatam 1:13:10. It says, this is King Yudhisthira talking to Vidura, I think, yeah. My good Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified, because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart. You turn all places into places of pilgrimage. That's from Bhagavatam 1:13-10. Actually, it says that ritual bathing in a holy place, it says in the purport that saintly people, they go to sinful people go to the holy place and they leave their sins there. And then holy men and women go to the place and they nullify those sins. But many people go for ritual bathing, in holy places. And it says it only gives limited benefit, whereas hearing from a devotee can deliver one from all material entanglement. So that's the power of hearing from a devotee. So I forgot, besides those three things, of course, deep prayer. And we heard those beautiful prayers of Srila Prabhupada when he landed in Boston. So yeah, we need to deeply pray as we chant our japa every morning. And when we're out there in the field, then to be instruments in the Lord's service, that we can touch their hearts, as Srila Prabhupada says, and share something with them. And Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti says, whenever we offer a prayer to the Lord, one always requests something from Him. Even like we heard Srila Prabhupada in the prayer, he was saying, I'm seeking your benediction so I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. So he was praying for something that he could actually be empowered. And, I'm sure many of you have felt at times that empowerment when you were speaking to someone and, you feel like you made a connection, like you touched their heart. And when you take the challenge to either travel and preach or go out of your comfort zone and share Krishna with others, amazing things happen. And it's an amazing adventure we've had, like, for the last 40 years. Gosh, it's been an amazing adventure, and just seeing the mystical nature and Krishna's mercy on us as we attempt to somehow attract others to Krishna. I had an experience once which I would like to share with you. Well, we were Sankirtan devotees, mostly on the streets in London, but then one of my senior godbrothers, he had been to Iceland, and he had gone to Iceland and he had met one young man there, because no devotees had ever been to Iceland before. I don't think Srila Prabhupada went to Iceland, so he was the first devotee to go. And he met this young man called Arnas, and Arnas was very favorable. He made a connection with him. And he said, oh yeah, you can send your book. So this devotee, his name is Amita, he actually now, he ran the Bhaktivedanta books in England, and now he's also got a big book warehouse where he distributes transcendental literature, Srila Prabhupada's books and many others. He sent a shipment of books to Iceland, and I don't know how it came about that because I don't know, I have to be honest, I didn't join for some time because I love to travel, and I thought when I join the movement it's going to restrict my ability to travel, as I saw devotees, on the streets of my hometown in Canada, and they were just like on the street and cold. I'm like, oh, I just want to travel the world, I've grown up in a small town, I just want to travel the world, but actually, when I eventually did join, got more opportunities to travel. I had no idea. At one point, I got round the world ticket. And me and another devotee, we went round the world, from England to America, to Hawaii, to Thailand, the Philippines. We got stopped in Hong Kong by Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He was like, what are you doing? Two women traveling on your own? But anyway, so we had lots of transcendental adventures, but so I don't know how it came about that we were going to go to Iceland, but me and another girl, we were like, let's go to Iceland because Amit has been there and there's books there. Somehow, we couldn't get the contact details of this particular, I can't remember why, but I think Amita was away. We needed to get the contact of Arnas so that we would, he would look after us and we would have the books, access to the book. But we had already booked our tickets. We just decided, well, let's just go anyway because we'll just pray to Krishna and, So from the moment we got on the plane, I, as you do, speak to the person next to you. I mean, there was a time, and I hope it is still the time, that we always bring a book with us wherever we go, or try to speak to whoever we meet. So I was speaking to the person next, so I was telling him that we are going, to Iceland, and we want to, distribute this incredible literature, and I mentioned the name Arnott, and he was like, well, he's one of my best friends. And we could not believe that Krishna had arranged of a whole plane full of people to Iceland, that we would be sitting next to the person who was going to lead us to that devotee who had all of the treasure house of books in Iceland and would accommodate or, arrange for our accommodation there. So that was a definitely transcendental, mystical experience. And you do have these, when you actually take the plunge. And I can't say that I was always fearless, but focused maybe, not fearless, but focused on just pleasing our Guru Maharaj, because we knew that he would be reading the newsletters, Sankirtan newsletters, of all the books that have been distributed. And we knew that if we got our names in there, he would read them and we would get his blessings. So we were focused on doing that. And yeah, we of course, in Iceland, they didn't have a lot of television at that time. So Iceland was a place that we were told people read a lot of books. And we went door to door and we sold loads of books. We emptied that storehouse of transcendental literature. And there's a center there in Iceland today. I don't know about Arnas, but I'm sure he did a lot of service. So yeah, I'm sure his journey in spiritual life has been blessed. So just finishing up really about the Bhajananandis and Ghostanandis. I mean, it's not that one is better than the other. I think we need to have both in place. I mean, I know definitely as I've got older, my husband was mentioning yesterday that we just went out on books, and Srila Prabhupada wanted us to read the books, but we were like full on in the mission of Sankirtan. But definitely, personally myself, realize that we need to take that time for quiet prayer, reflection, reading the books, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, Srila Prabhupada lived at the Radha Damodar temple for, I don't know, I can't remember how many years now, but he was in preparation, writing and reading and praying and chanting in preparation for the journey that he was about to take, the miraculous journey that he was about to take. So our mission is to bring others to Krishna. It was nice to see yesterday that you had school groups. Actually, in England, we have over 20,000 school children every year come visit our temple. And many of them come back, and many of the teachers come back as well with their families, and and continue to want to learn more and come take courses and things like that. So it's not a small thing. Many adults come that say, when I was a student, I visited your temple, and it had such an impact on me. So what you're doing is no small thing. But so yeah, I just wanted to say that because we're talking about in the purport, Srila Prabhupada's talking about fearlessly traveling and preaching. and not everyone's able to do that. But you can serve in such a way that you aim to attract others to Krishna. So it could be through the most beautiful prasadam that you distribute. It could be through, dressing the deities and such. These are absolutely beautiful deities here. I have to say the worship is so stunning. It could be through art. We have, she's not here, but Gaur Premanandi, she's an artist. Oh, she's there translating. So yeah, through art. It could be through gardening, you make your garden out here, very beautiful. Actually, those steps are very nice, going up and down, very nice steps. But yeah, in whatever way, serve in such a way that you attract others. Even if you're working, work in such a way that people, if you're in the working world or whatever your profession is, serve in such a way that people are attracted and kind of like eventually they'll ask you, what are you all about, or what makes you tick, or what, like that. So I just want to finish by saying that serve in whatever way. There's so many ways to serve Krishna. You don't have to go traveling and preaching. For many years, when our children were growing up, actually before they went to school, we did take them traveling and preaching, and I don't know, maybe that affected them today, that they are still wanting to share Krishna with others. So, but for some time, I wasn't always able to travel and preach. But even if you're not able to, do try to step out of your comfort zone sometime and share Krishna in a way that you don't normally do, because that's when the real mercy comes. So thank you very much for listening. I'm not somebody that gives class regularly, as you can probably tell, but I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you all and chant and serve, dance and serve with you all, and do hope that we can visit your wonderful temple here again soon in the future. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So, is there any comments or questions? Finished right at 8:30.
Bell's just ring.
Okay. I go.
The bell was just ringing.
Oh.
It's Swiss time.
Okay. Right. Okay. So. Oh yes.
Thank you very much, Chairman Prabhu. I was just reflecting on what you said. Maybe it's not even a properly formed question, but just a feeling that I'm left with. Because I was reflecting on what you said, and even the other day on Ram Navami, when His Grace Kripa Mahaprabhu gave the lecture, he said that give your life to the temple. Mm-hmm. And also when I listen from seniors like you, that you've given so much to the movement. And it's like meeting Krishna, almost it's like meeting Krishna face to face, because you feel his presence so strongly. Aww. And I was just thinking of how sometimes I feel I'm just floating in the mercy of what my seniors have done. And we know the Prabhupada's movement has to go on, and it's in my advantage if I fully devote myself. And also, generally, for the younger generation, and sometimes it's very stupid, but I'm also young, but I feel worried that perhaps we are not doing enough, especially given what our seniors have done. And this, you said how to move out of the comfort zone, and it can be external, that sometimes we want to not give so much in service, but it can also be internal, that sometimes we hold on to our traits so strongly that we don't want to give it up and really surrender fully. Mm-hmm. So if you could just maybe speak a few words that would shake us up and devote ourselves to Srila Prabhupada properly.
Oh. Thank you so much, Devashri. I see you doing so much here in this temple. I've observed even in the last few days. So, but of course, everything is much more comfortable now for devotees that join the movement. Everything is kind of, in one sense, laid out, whereas for us in the early days, we were definitely on a mission. I have to say, probably they were the sweetest days of my life, because we really experienced so much joy and happiness and like just working together. We were all just focused on serving Srila Prabhupada. It was that we were definitely like, really one-pointed, but as I say, it was and still is an adventure, but those days where there were austerities, and so not that I'm wishing austerities on you, but I also take shelter of my seniors and get inspired by my seniors even today. And the thing, going on every day, I always try to see Krishna every day, the magic of Krishna every day in my life. Every day is something. It could even be the most simple thing, but that keeps me going. And I do. I'm always praying for opportunities to serve and to connect people with Krishna. I mean, you say complacency, but Lord Chaitanya says, we read the verse, every town and village. There are lots of villages here in Switzerland, in England. There are lots. I mean, we meet people that are just in Watford that have never heard of Hare Krishna. They're just 3 miles away. So there's so much we have achieved, so much we have done, but so much more yet to do. So we should never feel complacent. We shouldn't feel complacent, and we should feel that we need to help to bring about this revolution. It is happening, but slowly, and we're having to fight against the progress of Kali Yuga, which is also to our advantage because people are struggling. Even it's not getting better; things are getting worse. So, in one sense, it's even more and more ripe, like to try and share what we've been given. Like, our hearts are full with gratitude for what we've been given, and if we can share that. I mean, sometimes when I'm in a kirtan, I just put my hands up, and it's just something silly, but it's something that I just feel personally. I just put my hands up and I just pray for that, whatever that I'm feeling, that connection, little connection with Krishna. And we put our hands up, and we pray that Lord Chaitanya's mercy is going to spread further and further, and people are going to also experience this wonderful process of bhakti that we've been given. So don't ever be complacent, because there's still so much to do. We've only just scratched the tip. But we've got our temples, but we can't be complacent in the temples. We've got to carry on in whatever way we can serve to share and to share outwards and bring people inwards. So thank you so much for your question. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Grace Guru Charan Prabhupada Ji.
Jai.
Thank you very much.
wir gehen nach Langenthal schon. Aber der Titel wäre in einem, ich glaube im E-Mail-Newsletter hat das in Langenthal reingetan, aber das ist nicht das Langenthal. Also die haben nicht danach gefragt. Also, das ist, genau, der hat, glaube ich, nach einem per WhatsApp geschickt oder per Online. Und online auf der Webseite ist es richtig, da ist das Thema irgendwie the knot that binds us together oder so. Ich kann das morgen dann auch da dran schreiben. Das ist am Morgen die Klasse. Genau.
Krishna